Header Manager. A header manager is used to add or modify HTTP headers in a request. HTTP headers are used to convey additional information about the request or response. For example, the user agent header can be used to identify the client making the request. In simpler terms, think of a header manager as a tool that allows you to add important information to a message you're sending. In the case of an HTTP request, a header manager lets you add extra information to the request to make sure it's understood correctly by the server you are sending it to. Real-time example, suppose you are making an API request to a server that requires an authorization token. You can use a header manager to add the authorization token as an HTTP header to the request. Cache Manager. A cache manager is used to manage caching of responses. Caching can be used to improve the performance of a website by storing frequently requested data on the client side. In simpler terms, a cache manager is like a short-term memory for your browser. When you visit a website, your browser stores some of the information from that site so that it can load faster the next time you visit. In the case of an HTTP request, a cache manager helps you make sure that your browser is using its short-term memory effectively by remembering data that doesn't change very often, so that you don't have to download it again and again. This can make your browsing experience faster and more efficient. Real-time example, suppose you are making a request to a website that returns a large amount of data that does not change frequently. You can use a cache manager to store the response on the client side and reuse it for subsequent requests to avoid unnecessary network traffic. Cookie Manager. A cookie manager is used to manage cookies in a request. Cookies are small pieces of data that are stored on the client side and are used to maintain state between requests. For example, a website may use a cookie to remember a user's preferences. In simpler terms, a cookie manager is like a little helper that remembers things for you. In the case of HTTP requests, a cookie manager helps you remember any special information that you need to include with your request. This is useful when you need to make multiple requests to a server and you want to keep certain information consistent across all of them. Real-time example, suppose you are making a request to a website that requires authentication. The website may send a cookie containing the authentication token. You can use a cookie manager to manage the cookie and send it with subsequent requests to maintain the user's authenticated state. In summary, these managers are used with a request to add or modify HTTP headers, manage cookies, and manage caching to optimize performance and maintain state between requests.